This episode of the Star Trek Universe podcast, we are talking about Discovery 114, The War Without, The War Within, right after this.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
What is happening, Dave-O?
Just plowing through this Discovery we watch. We watch.
I realize that plowing has a lot of contexts. It's just been used sexually so much.
Oh,
that I don't like it anymore.
I've heard a lot of people use it that way, and honestly, like, I've seen real plowing happen.
Sure. And I can't
There's nothing sexual about it. Well, it is terrible.
I'm with you. But even if I hear a farmer talk about plowing his fields, I'm like,
yeah,
that sounds dirty now. Like, come on. What's my sick brain?
Yeah, what is your sick brain?
All right. Let's move on to episode 14 of season 1 of Discovery. Drop that summary, bro. I don't know why. For some reason, when I get to ask for the summary, I have to call you bro. It's been a couple episodes now.
Yeah, it's real weird, man.
I'm just trying to hype us up. Trying to keep the energy going.
Yeah, I don't think I have that. The CBS All Access summary is as follows. Back on the USS Discovery, Michael Burnham and the crew are faced with the harsh reality of the war during their absence. In order to move forward, Starfleet must use unconventional tactics as sources to take their next action against the Klingons.
Mm-hmm. They plan a trip to Kronos. How do you say Kronos? Kronos?
Most often I hear it Kronos.
Yeah, but it's QOS. Like, what, the plow?
Look, I don't get into that. Like, I don't know about pronunciations, man.
Right.
That's one thing we say over and over again on DC on Screen. I don't know from anything.
Growing up with, just mostly hearing it, I just thought it was Kronos. Like, I never knew till I started reading it, maybe, and then I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, so they go to Kronos. They're on their order. They're planning to head to Kronos. I thought they packed a lot into this episode while making very little movement in the plot.
Yeah, at the risk of unwieldy hyperbole.
Okay.
I will say this is my least favorite episode of the season.
I liked it. Yeah, I think I liked it better than those first two, but
I didn't.
I think you're on a track there that is fair.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks for saying my opinion is valid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I can either disagree with you or agree with you. And in this case, I'm saying I lean toward agreement.
You get it.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. At least there was enough, going on in those first two episodes. This episode just feels stagnant, and it shouldn't. Like, there are definitely moments that I like a lot.
Yeah.
But it feels way more stagnant than it. I feel like if they had made like a 90-minute finale instead of having this episode and the next episode, and included like two of those scenes, I would have been great.
I do think that if they had done that, this episode is supposed to be giving us the context for the final episode. And the final episode, obviously, they're going to have to try to wrap up this war with the Klingons. We know that much.
Right.
So I think they needed an episode to bring us back to that. Because as we discussed on last episode of this show, we've been in the Mirror Universe for 4 or 5 episodes now, and now we need something to ground us. If they're going to decide to wrap it up this season, they need something to ground us there. I still maintain they could have ended the season with, oh no, the Klingons won the war. End of season.
And this episode has all of the classic downfalls of a season premiere after a season finale like that. Like, this is the best of both worlds part 2. You know what I mean? Like, when we're looking at this, they're like suddenly, stepping back all these things they did. Like, they're cheapening all these, like, oh, it appears the Klingons have won the war. Except not. Well, we don't have any more spores. There's no way to do the spores anymore. Except not.
Yeah, except that way that we've never mentioned before. I do like how tightly written that moment was. Because they basically talk about how they've already had this plan, and there's a reason that we have this like store of mycelium and this whole plan already calibrated, and even a planet to do it on. Like, they already had the plan in place, but he's like, Strahl decided to shut that down because he wanted to keep the spores caged or whatever. It's time to go wild. And it's like, okay, so this was a plan that existed. They didn't like come up with this out of whole cloth,
Right.
But yes, it seemed just a little. It weirdly seemed to be a stalling episode and a rushed episode because they had to undo so many things, remove so many stakes from the previous episode. Klingons haven't won the war. The Klingons, and to be fair, Saru said the Klingons appear to have won the war.
Yeah, that map still looks. They showed it again here, and it was just like,
Yeah. Also, they said 20%.
I don't see how we're gonna beat this.
They said 20%, which I guess that map was just a map of like the war zone, like the center of the war, because that map appeared that the Federation lost like 90% of their territory, and they're just in this little corner.
Was it like, was it supposed to be split in half? Did it start out split in half, that map?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And then it shows the Klingons have completely taken it except a little corner. And then they said that the Federation has lost 20% of the space they had inhabited, which, according to that map, looked like a lot more. But we're also looking at a two-dimensional map to represent a three-dimensional space, and that's a whole thing we could have a discussion about.
Right.
So it's really...
you can't think two-dimensionally in space if Khan taught us anything.
Yeah. Khan, everything I ever needed to know, I learned from Khan. It's dangerous. All right. Yeah. So I hear you, but I didn't hate this episode. I enjoy that they went wild. I kind of wish they brought it up sooner. It felt like something that they invented for this episode, and then they did tightly write it, but it does feel like they could have done a little backtracking, maybe dropped in that there were other ways to develop the spores.
Right.
Like he could have mentioned on the first episode when you see the spores, like, when I first envisioned this, I wanted to do it in the wild. Like, can you imagine a whole planet of these plants? Like, he could have mentioned that. And then when he decided to do it, it would have felt like him getting to do something he'd always wanted to do, which it kind of did, but.
Yeah, being crammed in here just feels like Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
A little bit.
For sure. Deus Spore Machina. Spornica?
Deus Mushroomica.
My name is Spornica.
Deus Mycelia.
There you go. Deus Mycelia.
We did it.
We did it.
We pulled it off.
I liked seeing the Admiral and seeing Sarek and seeing how far down they've fallen. Mm-hmm. That was interesting.
It did not feel like Sarek to me. Sarek continues to feel so unlike Sarek that is absolutely off-putting to me.
Right. I don't have nearly the connection with Sarek you do from the early stuff. I just don't have that good of a memory for it.
Yeah. I did like Cornwell's... I like Cornwell, period.
That's the Admiral, right? I forget her name.
Yes. I was a little disappointed at how far she fell. But I was upset because I wanted Saru to stay the captain. And then they get to Starbase 1 and it's been overtaken by Klingons. And her emotional reaction to that is so just ridiculous. Like, I get it, but she's a freaking Starfleet admiral, dude. Like,
yeah.
She's a Starfleet admiral. Like, don't just stand there like an idiot, not knowing what to do, and have Saru step up and be like, hey, warp us the hell out of here because we're going to die. Like, you need to get your shit together. Like, I didn't like that portrayal.
I hear you, but I think that's the point is these people have been through 9 months of hell, and our ship got to skip those 9 months. And so Saru is a little more ready to captain. And even though they spent some of that time in the mirror universe, Saru particularly didn't go through nearly what Cornwell has gone through.
No, I get what they were trying to do, but this was also a woman that we just saw survive Klingon torture.
Well, we saw her. That was
imprisonment.
That was the beginning of 9 months or 10 months even of torture for her. You know, like that was her at her height, being able to upstand Klingon torture. And now she's basically been under Klingon psychological torture. And more than that, all of her people dying for another 9 months. Like there's a difference there. There's a reasoning that works.
I know there's a difference, but I liked the character enough that I felt like I shouldn't have to keep like reminding myself that it's been 9 months just to justify her actions. I'm like, nope. Suddenly they just wrote her as a shitty character.
I don't agree. But that's fine. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I think like we complain so often about how Starfleet is so often homogenized and they don't allow them to be human. So a moment of an admiral failing, her humanity overtaking her, like I don't mind that. I want them to do more of that. She's a Starfleet admiral, but she's still a human being, you know?
And that's another thing. I feel like in this instance, they reduced Cornwell to every other meddlesome admiral who didn't know what the hell they were doing. Like the old Star Trek trope, like, the superior comes in. Hell, they did it on the Andy Griffith show. The state police come in and don't know what they're doing.
Well, I do think they're setting that up. I mean,
it's an old trope.
Based on the memory of this last episode, which is spotty at best, they are setting up that she's in, you know, she is that meddlesome admiral, but just coming at it from a completely different place than we've seen before. We've never seen a meddlesome admiral who's meddlesome because they're so fearful of extinction of the Federation, you know, and having been through so much in 9 months. Like, I think it's a different thing, but I agree. They're setting up our crew, you know, the protagonists of the show to have to push back, but at least they're doing something different here, which is them pushing back, on a fear, you know, we talked about it many times. This show sets up this dichotomy of fear versus, you know, original series all about emotion versus logic. This is very much about fear versus bravery, I guess. But sometimes, you know, in many cases, I wish they would just explore it with a little more nuance, because so far it's been fear versus bravery, but they haven't acknowledged that sometimes you should fear things. And I think like it would be interesting, like Saru is fearful, Burnham is brave. And that's been like the established thing since the beginning of the season. And then she did a thing with her, you know, brashness in that first episode that caused a war. And so in that case, they showed that her bravery was a mistake, I guess. And it's been about coming back from that. But you haven't really seen her adapt. She's still the I'm going to charge in and fix everything person. And Saru has developed more toward her side, but she hasn't really learned the ways of fear.
I think what they're getting at, and if I remember correctly, the last episode will meet this out, is about fear, you letting your fear control you to the point where you disregard your morals and your personal beliefs. I agree.
They definitely, yeah, that's a good point. Not letting your fear overtake you. And that's definitely the case, or just letting your fear control you even if you don't have morals. I mean, I think we talked about that with the Klingons. They have a fear of the other. They have the fear of the Federation, so they're letting it control their desire to remain Klingon, be their driving force. And then the Terrans are fearful of everything and losing their power, and just they're all controlled by fear.
And Michael's parents were killed by Klingons, so she has a fear of those people.
Yes.
And she let her fear push her to mutiny. So that's how far her fear took her.
So I think what you're saying is fear leads to hate. Hate leads to the dark side.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's all Star Wars. Or an allegory for America with illegal immigration.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. For sure.
Like, I think that is what they're getting at. Like, you know, I did this, I was wrong. Starfleet, you know, I am Starfleet, we are Starfleet, we should be better than this. I think they're making a case for, you know, yes, America, we let Trump be the president, but we're better than this, we should be better than this. You know, like,
yeah, I think so too. And just in general, making the case for loving those outside of your bubble, protecting those outside of your bubble. Even Georgiou, protecting her. Even Ash Tyler. There's a great speech in this about the conversation Tilly and Burnham have about Ash Tyler is also about the same thing. It's Burnham, you're fearing Ash Tyler, and fearing even talking to him. But the right thing to do is to talk to him. He's a different person, and he's someone to be respected and possibly brought back into the fold.
It's my one quote, but it's worth go ahead and talking about.
Go.
Where Burnham is trying to explain, like, oh, he killed Culber. He tried to kill me. And Tilly says, and those crimes are reprehensible. But Tyler is not the person who did that. At least he's not anymore. He is something other, something new. And what we do now, the way that we treat him, that is who he will become.
Oh, that's heartbreaking, especially given Burnham's choice, you know, and also what Tyler says. It's unfair to put so much weight on Burnham for what Ash Tyler will become, but it's also probably fairly accurate.
Well, she's not putting it all on her. Like, just like, I mean, it's cliched as hell, this scene. But he's eating, he goes into the cafeteria, everyone's quiet, he sits down alone.
Right.
And then Tilly makes the decision to get up and go sit with him. And then slowly but surely, you know, the other people come and sit around Tyler and welcome him back.
Loved that scene because it's Tilly taking on leadership.
Absolutely. That's what I liked about it. Leadership
through compassion, which I love, with the motivation of compassion. I don't think she was trying to be a leader. She was being brave, and she was standing up for compassion for this person. And then through that, found leadership among the crew. And I thought that was a beautiful scene.
Yeah. It is very cliched, though. I've seen that scene a million times.
Sure,
usually in high school drama.
Well, I think that was the thing. They were trying to make that scene connect to an audience who, I mean, let's face it, we're Star Trek fans, we're geeks, most of us, and it's like we've had that feeling lonely, feeling talked about, feeling, you know, shunned by a cafeteria full of people.
Yeah.
And so I think they were trying to drive it home that, you know, this feeling, you want someone to do what Tilly is doing for you. And then this is what the kind of person we all want to be, that brave person that steps out and hugs the other, you know?
Yeah. I experience that every day.
Still?
I gotta stop hanging out at schools, man.
I think a man your age hanging out at schools is probably going to get ignored and shunned, maybe even ejected. I hope. Should I say I hope I gets ejected?
I think I just want to keep reminding myself of where I came from.
Right. Keep yourself humble by continuing to be shunned in cafeterias. Yeah. I get that.
I can't be me and have people like writing in and telling me that they enjoy DC on Screen and this show. I can't do it. I can accept that, but I've also got to feel the rejection to be me. Otherwise, everything's off.
Oh, that's
sorry. I just gave a really good explanation for a joke. I don't even do that, and now I feel like everyone's going to think I really do go to schools. Cafeterias.
I don't think that's the case. I think you're fine. But I do think it's a sad state of affairs that you feel that way. Because I think although you don't go to schools, I think the nugget of truth there is you do feel you need to hold on to a sense of
Self-loathing.
Self-loathing. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I know the words.
Not necessarily the word I was looking for, but that is definitely a word for it.
I need to feel that rejection.
Yeah, you need to feel rejection a little bit. You hold on to your rejections. You are a man who holds on to your rejections.
Oh, yeah. I wallow with them.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly unhealthy.
Rub them in my crevasses.
Oh, gosh. All right, moving on. I feel like that's pretty much it. We have I guess we haven't talked about the big final moment of this episode. Which is
what was that?
Georgiou taking captain's chair on the Discovery.
Right. Just, the latest bad decision from Cornwell.
Yes. Well, it sounds like a bad decision that came from Sarek and crew, the committee or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm blaming Cornwell.
Okay.
Like, her first bad decision was, hey, I think I'll sleep with Lorca after I've just been telling him how bad he's being. Number 2, hey, after I get back from this terrible, deadly mission, I'm making sure you lose your ship.
Yeah.
I like the character, but I just hate some of the decisions they've had her make.
Yeah, I mean, I think the character's fine. I think that most of the decisions she's made, she's been sort of manipulated into, including this one. Lorca manipulated her into both those previous decisions, and this decision, she's being manipulated by Georgiou. She's being manipulated by mirror universe cronies, basically. She's not good at sussing out mirror universe motives.
I did really enjoy her, petulant phaser blasting of his fortune cookies. Bastard!
Yeah, that was super fun.
Oh man, don't set off the alarms.
Yeah, there aren't any alarms in this universe.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
I'm going to hold this universe, to that one thing that they said on Star Trek 6.
Right.
Never mind that they could have implemented that later on.
Yeah, never mind. There's plenty. See, therein lies the issue with a lot of things we do as nerds to decide we like something. A lot of it is decided on whether we think something's feasible or not. And if it's something we like, we will bend over backwards to headcanon something. And if something we don't like, if we just don't like the thing, we will not give it any of that credit.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I don't want to like this show. Therefore, in episode 302, they said this and this. Never mind that it happened 200 years after this.
Never mind. There's clear logical outs for them. All right. I think that's about all we got to say about this episode. You got anything else?
I got a little trivia.
Oh, yeah. Right. Trivia. How novel.
And this is going to be one of those things that you were just talking about.
All right. All right.
I feel personally, that Memory Alpha is being a little catty, being a little petty with this one.
Interesting. Memory Alpha is normally they normally keep pretty even keel.
Yeah, but here goes. Admiral Cornwell, in her speech to the Discovery crew, told them their visit would be the first to Kronos since Captain Jonathan Archer and the Enterprise crew went there, quote, nearly 100 years ago. Enterprise is known to have visited the planet only in the episode Broken Bow. But since that took place more than a century earlier, it appears this is not the visit she is referring to. I think it's the same. I think nearly 100 and over 100. I think they just screwed up that line a little bit.
Yeah, you're probably right. I thought that Archer was 100 years before Kirk's time.
It's like 150.
Oh, okay. See, I've always heard 100 and I never did the math.
Yeah, I think it's all I remember are and it's a vague memory of the advertisements that said 150 years before Kirk.
Yeah, see, I thought that was 100. I must have just been mistaken. Okay, what other trivia you got?
It was revealed that the ISS Discovery was destroyed by Klingons after crossing over into the Prime Universe.
Oh,
when it traded places.
That's
with
true.
The counterpart.
It was also not revealed, but assumed by Cornwell that Lorca's dead.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear though that there is an out there. So I think Lorca's alive. I think Prime Lorca is out there somewhere.
And this, is predicated upon the belief that we are watching the Prime universe. But anyway, Starfleet highly classifies all information on the Discovery's visit to the Mirror universe. This could explain how the Mirror Jonathan Archer could find no information on the Terran Empire in the USS Defiance 2268 database. Nor did Starfleet warn the Defiant about its known fate, meaning the Halcyon incident was also so classified by Starfleet, though at some point it was declassified, as Bashir told Kira he read about Kirk's crossover at Starfleet Academy.
Okay.
That was in DS9's crossover.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, things become declassified.
They do.
After a certain period of time.
They do indeed, especially when things start happening. I'm sure they've probably experienced things with alternate realities since then.
Yeah. I would assume that it's happened too much now, and people are just like, oh, yeah, okay. Well,
and
guess out of the bag.
Their reasoning for keeping it a secret was the big losses they'd had in the war.
Yeah.
That if that many people had lost that much, someone is going to decide to try to cross over to find their family.
Which is fair.
Yes, which is fair. Have you seen Into the Spider-Verse yet?
No, but I really want to.
All right, cool. This relates to a plot point in Into the Spider-Verse. I won't say more. But those of you who've seen it, it's kind of an interesting connection, right? People that are listening who've seen it, you can't answer me. Talking to the void. Any other trivia, Dave?
No, I'm done.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to finish up the season and get started on the next one. I'm so excited. Sunday? Is that right? Sunday?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm assuming this will drop like Thursday or Friday. So, guys.
No, it's Thursday. It's Thursday.
Oh, it's what? I
17th.
Did not know that. I thought it was Sunday because it was Sunday last season. I was thinking we had till Sunday to finish this thing. We don't. Okay. Well, I'm going to get off here and start editing some podcasts.
I think we'll be okay. If. Yeah. I think we'll be all right.
I think we'll be all right too. But I'm going to get off here and start editing some podcasts.
That's probably fair. All
right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. StarTrekUcast.com. I don't think I have anything spoilery to say about this final episode, really.
I don't either.
All right, well, let's dive into that final episode. And, guys, thanks so much for listening. We'll be back real soon with the last episode of Discovery Rewatch. Peace.
Live long. Prosper. All the good things.
To reach out to us, hit us up at StarTrekUcast.com, at StarTrekUcast on Twitter, Star Trek Universe Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for us there, or send us a message at StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv. And if you want to hear more from Matthew Carroll, that's me, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, or go listen to my music at MatthewCarrollmusic.com or anywhere you get music.